All right, so today we are with the Just Athletics podcast. This is Coach Chris Johnson, who has been in the Oregon interview, and Dave Frank, who's been in the Oregon interview and by himself. How's you guys' days been today?
Living the dream here.
Taught some math and just took the dog out for a nice long walk. Pretty darn good here in Oregon in November. It's not 41 and pouring down rain, so I consider myself blessed.
It's pretty chilly over here, but Coach Frank and Coach Johnson combined have 23 state titles. Coach Johnson has 13. Coach Frank has 10. So I don't know how they do that, but I don't know what they're doing over there, but I think my cameraman over here needs to learn some stuff from you guys. They also started their Just Athletics podcast in 2015. They've talked to a bunch of people, and you should go listen to it. It's on Spotify. They had just did episode 51 with Courtney Frericks. Great stuff. So, Coach Johnson, what made you start your podcast?
It's really a weird story. A friend of mine and I, he's an NCAA Division I cross country and track and field coach. We've been friends for a long time, and we were driving from my house here, which is on the Oregon coast, over to Eugene, and back. And on the way over and the way back, we just had this really great conversation. And he's pretty funny, and I think I'm pretty funny. And we thought, hey, we should just do a podcast. Well, it'll be great. So we came back that night and we sat right behind me on my couch here, and we recorded ourselves like doing a sample podcast, and it was just terrible. We thought we'd be really funny, and it was just awful. And I was like, this isn't going to work. We should do it about track and cross country, because we can just get other people on. We can ask them questions and they can talk, because obviously we couldn't carry this thing on our own. And then unfortunately, NCAA rules prohibit him being on a podcast with me, because he's a college coach and I'm a high school coach. And it could be seen as favoritism, like it would be an avenue for him to recruit my athletes. So we couldn't do it that way. So we had a friend of mine named Josh Rowe, really famous in the running world. He created Nike Cross Nationals. It was his idea. When he worked for Nike. And we did it for a few years with Josh, really sporadically. And then Josh lives on the East Coast. And it was really difficult to get him on the show. So when he couldn't do it anymore, we brought Dave in, and the rest is history. So yeah, I think it was it's just fun to talk. And our podcast is supposed to be just fun. It's not hard hitting. It's not scary for the people who are on it. They're just supposed to have a good time and tell us about their lives, and we'll just have some fun and enjoy the sport of cross country and track and field, which is something that we all love.
Coach Frank, anything to touch up on that with?
When I first heard that Chris and Josh were doing a podcast, I sort of chuckled to myself and like, what is that all about? Like, a couple of guys that I know who are just very normal guys in a lot of ways, you're going to sit down and talk about running, and people are going to listen to that. And I have to say, I didn't think much of it when I first heard about it. And then I started listening to some of the episodes, and a lot of the episodes have been people that are sort of in our circle, but particularly because Josh has been so high up in the running world, at Nike, New Balance. Chris and Josh started to get some really amazing people on. And so the more I listened to people that weren't just our friends, I was like, wow, this is pretty dang good. And so then when Chris asked me to be on, I was like, no, you got Sonia Richards on. You got Bernard Legat on. You don't want me on there. And, anyway, it was really fun to listen to. And then when I got to do it, to interview my buddy Jeff Atkinson when Josh wasn't available, it was pretty cool. And then this year when Chris asked me, I was like, yeah, that sounds really fun. And it has been. It's been really enjoyable. Still, we're doing a lot of people we know, but we've also had some people we don't know. And I don't know how you feel about it, Lance, but makes me nervous as all get out when we interview somebody we don't actually know. So, but it's been really fun, yeah.
So, how many listeners do you have?
It's a good question, Lance. We really don't know how many listeners we actually have. It's a little bit complicated. We have we have someone who helps us produce it, who they prefer to remain unnamed. They don't want to hang their name on this venture. So they do our production side. And we have it on 3 different platforms. I think Dave mentioned that. It's on Spotify, it's on Stitcher, or maybe you did, and it's on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast. So we can figure out how many people are downloading each episode, but we don't know how many people stream it. And like if you're like me and I live in the middle of nowhere, it's hard for me to stream something because my cell service isn't great. So I download it. But I think a lot of people who I talk to who live in bigger cities, they stream it. There's probably a way to figure out how many people stream it, but we don't really know yet. All I can definitively tell you is we've had probably close to 100,000 episodes downloaded. Is that right? No, that's not right. Yeah, I think about 100,000 episodes downloaded, which is in all of our episodes. That's not a ton of traffic.
That's 200 per episode, give or take, right?
We have 600 people who subscribe on iTunes. So that's a good sign. That means we figured there's 600 somewhat regular listeners on iTunes, and then whatever's happening on Spotify and Stitch, I really don't have any idea. So we joke that it's somewhere between, I think we're in the 60 to 70 million listener range. That's what we say.
That's a joke.
Like, no. It's like fiat, Lance. It's like you just decide it's with that number until someone proves it that's not true.
Lance, I think what's going to happen, we joke on the show that sometimes we said we have 11 listeners, and sometimes we said we have 67 million. But more than likely, after this show, we're going to skyrocket. So if we were at 67 million, we're probably going to go to 75 million after this thing comes out. Pretty sure.
We're gonna get the Lance's vlog bump. We're gonna get the bump.
It is funny though. Every week when it comes out, when our most recent one comes out, I will get a text or a note on Facebook from probably like an old friend of mine who says that was a really great episode, and I'm like, you listen to our stuff, because I'm not necessarily sending it to all my friends, So it's sort of cool that, because I have a lot of running friends all over the country, and to hear that they listen to us is pretty nice. I thought the minute they hear my voice, they'd turn it off, but apparently, whatever I did back in the day hasn't bothered them too much.
So going back to when Coach Frank said, you have Bernard Lagat on there and Shelby Houlihan, you don't want me on there. How did you actually be able to get Shelby Houlihan and like Bernard Lagat and all these people? Like how do you get these connections and stuff like that?
So a lot of it had to do with Josh Rowe. So I mentioned Josh before. He's my best friend. We ran in high school together at St. Helens High School. Big shout out to the Mighty Lions. And Josh worked at Nike in running sports marketing. So he got to know all the athletes really well. And he's a great guy. Anybody who knows Josh Rowe pretty much just loves the guy. So he had a lot of these connections with Bernard and Sonia Richards and Alan Webb and some of the other Pascal Daubert, some of the other people who were on early. And then when Josh left, it was sort of on us now to find people. And actually Pascal Daubert, who was our first guest, that wasn't Josh. He was on episode number 2. He works for the Bowerman athletic team. So he helps coach, and he's a really close friend. And so that's how we asked Shelby to be on through Pascal, and he was happy to pass her information on to us. And then same thing with Courtney last week. We kind of reached out to her through Pascal. So a lot of times it's just been mutual friends, but we've had some cold calls to people. And we've had some time, like David mentioned, some people like Shelby we'd never met before, and that was pretty daunting to have an interview with someone who is, arguably the best American female distance runner of all time, and she's sitting in her living room talking to us while we're in our living room. So that's kind of what it's been. I think as we've had more and more people on, as we've had more and more listeners, I think some of the people have maybe even heard of us. A couple people had heard of us before, like Ben Blankenship had been listening. So yeah, that's helped. I think that people see the faces of the others who've been on there. I think they're less skeptical to join a couple strangers to talk about their lives.
But I sort of think, Chris, that not everybody in our sport, it's not like the NBA where LeBron James gets 300 interview requests a day, right? I don't know that Shelby is asked all the time to be on a podcast or to be in somebody's Zoom. I'm sure that lots of high school teams over this last 8 months have had professional athletes join their Zooms, right? And so I think a lot of times they're not inundated with requests, so it's not that far fetched to have them join us. And the other thing I'll say is that I think both Chris and I consider ourselves to be members of the running world, the community of runners and coaches, and I think we're pretty good about reaching out to people. And I got to know your dad at a coaching clinic, and now we've had a few Chicago area coaches on our podcast and who we didn't know before. And so I think if you're moderately nice to people on a regular basis, and you put yourself out there in the running world, people are interested in hanging out with you. And as Chris said, we try to make it friendly. We're not gonna get somebody on and pin them down on what do they think about drug use with so and so and all that. Not that we wouldn't ask that, but we want it to be an enjoyable conversation, so people aren't too scared of us, we think.
So, is there any tips to get people? I've asked a couple people and they really haven't looked at it. I've asked them through Instagram and they haven't looked at it. But do you have any tips that could help?
I've sent. I'm not going to name. There's probably one of the most decorated, successful track and field athletes in American history. We tried to get on, and I sent a cold Instagram message to this person, and I got nothing back. So, that's okay. I mean, he or she must have had better things to do, but I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad asking, and you shouldn't feel bad asking. You've had some great, other than Dave and I, you've had some great guests on, and your show is awesome. And you'll find people like Dave talked about, people who like to come on and because I like to share their stories and visit with you. So you just keep asking them and don't feel, if they say no, they say no, and you go on to the next person. You'll find out that there's at least I think we found out that there's too many people to probably ever get on. There's more people out there who we want to get on than we probably have time to put them on.
And I think you just keep asking. As Chris said, there's no harm in getting a no or no answer. That's certainly not a reflection on you if somebody doesn't answer or says no, they can't do it. It's just that some people aren't. Maybe our guy Chris, maybe he doesn't check those messages. There are people out there that don't really care about social media, so maybe he's never even seen your message, right?
That's true.
But I think, Lance, there's more people out there that are willing to sit down with people like you and people like us than we think. And again, in our sport, most people are pretty cool, right? And I think you could ask anybody, and you're going to be surprised how many people you'll get that'll say, "That sounds awesome. When can I do it?" Right? It doesn't matter whether you're famous or not famous. People in our sport are pretty awesome most of the time.
So I know we've established that about your podcast, you like doing it. What is your favorite part about doing your podcast?
I'll tell you what my least favorite part is. Beforehand, you got to do work. You got to sit down and you got to do some research on the people, and you got to come up with some questions you think aren't just going to be the normal everything. But that's also my favorite part, because when you do the homework, and I'm gonna go off this weird tangent, but when I talked earlier about, we interviewed Jeff Atkinson. He was my teammate, roommate in college. He made the Olympic team, and when I lived with Jeff, he always got us to do stuff that we didn't necessarily want to do. And then the outcome was way better than we expected. For example, we might throw a big Halloween party, and we would say, we're just going to hang out and let people show up. And he would say, no, we're going to do this right. We're going to get palm fronds and tiki torches and all this stuff. We'd be like, nah, we're not going to do that. And then we would do it, and the party would be way better because we went to this effort. And so I'm tying this in because when we make an effort on the before the show to do our homework, to come up with good questions, and we share them between myself and Chris and our producer, and we talk about them. And we also reached out to other people that might know the guest. So when we had Ben Blankenship, Scott Christensen was his high school coach. So we reached out to Scott and said, hey, do you have any ideas about what we might want to ask Ben? And Scott had 2 or 3 awesome things. And it made that show, at least in my mind, way better. So it's sort of a pain because we sort of get right up against it. Every week we're talking about Monday at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and we're not quite ready. And, but once we've done that work and then the show goes well, you feel pretty good about it. So I dislike that part at one point, and then I love it later on when you're talking and it's clicking and all that work is paying off.
So I'll just give you a couple of examples. I mean, and I agree with Dave. It's a lot, Lance, it's a lot more work, right? It's a lot more work than to put these things on and to prepare, because once the camera's rolling or once the video or the audio is rolling, that if you say something silly, everybody's going to hear it, and we're live, right? I mean, you're not going to edit this show. Whatever we say now is what people get to consume. So I have a really good friend who is a high school coach, and he texted me, and that Dave mentioned, people will text us about programs, and I mentioned his name on the show, and he was happened to be listening to the episode while he was running, and he said when he heard his name, he stopped, he like pumped his fist in the air, like somehow he had made it big time because we talked about him on the show. And again, this is someone who's a really good friend, and it's the fact that he would be excited. I would have said his name a long time ago had I known he'd be that excited about it, but that was really neat. And then we did an episode a couple of weeks ago. We called it like a Seinfeld Bizarro episode. It was like an opposite where we had Robin
Gillis.
Sorry, I was going to say Robin Markham, and Marie Davis came on, and they pretend like it was their show, and they interviewed us. And in that process, I was talking about my running career, and I mentioned one of my high school coaches, and he texted me, or Facebook, one of those things, and said, hey, Chris, I listened to your podcast for the first time the other day, and I started with the latest one, and you and Dave were really great. And I had mentioned him on there. I had said his name, and I'd said how great of a coach he was, and how I think I said we jibed. And so that was really neat to have my high school coach listen, and neat that he happened to listen to an episode where we talked about him. So it's just fun. We're honored and flattered, and just having fun with it while we can.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I hear my dad, when you guys are on your meeting, say, oh, we were just talking about you. And I'm like, why would you guys want to talk about me? Like, I'm not. But anyway, so the biggest thing you have learned, what is the biggest coaching thing you have learned, like to help you improve your coaching?
I think the episode where I probably learned the most was Dan Caulfield, who was a Irish 800-meter runner, Irish record holder. He ran at Adams State for the great Dr. Joe Vigil, and then for Dr. Damon Martin. He's coaching now at California University in Pittsburgh, right? Or Pennsylvania? Sorry, California, Pennsylvania. Kind of weird, but I know, right? And that was amazing. That guy taught me a ton. So that's I think the one I learned. And there's a lot of things to talk about, but he was pretty incredible.
No, I don't know that I've learned any one thing, Lance. Like, and I say that I'm not trying to dodge the question, but what I've sort of really learned is that talking to coaches and athletes, that there are so many different ways and so many different demeanors and personality traits that people have who are all successful in our sport. So what works for me in my program and my kids, and work for me in my own running, is not necessarily what works for everybody else, right? And I don't know if this is really related or not, but we had Ben Blankenship about a month ago, and I don't know if you've ever seen Ben run, but when you watch Ben run, he's a very aggressive guy that's not afraid to take the lead and do interesting things. He's a 1,500 meter guy, but he won the club cross country championships a couple of years ago. And, that's the kind of thing that makes a lot of distance runners go, wow, that guy's awesome. He's not afraid of anything. He's boisterous. He's out there. He's a big barrel chested guy. And we interviewed him, and he was quiet. And I don't mean bad quiet. He answered our questions and all that, but we were just blown away by how he wasn't the way we thought he was by watching him run, right? And so it just showed me, like, another example of how you can be successful doing what you're doing, and you don't have to be the same way all the time, and not everybody has to be the same as each other. And so what I've learned from our podcast and from other, meetings that we've had throughout the spring and summer and fall is that there's a lot of ways to be successful and to listen to other people. You may not necessarily adopt what they do, but you can change your perspective slightly. You can look at a kid that you coach in a slightly different way that can mean all the difference to that kid. And so, I think that's what I've learned.
So with your running, what is the biggest thing you've learned from your podcast?
With my own running, I haven't been running very much lately. I will say that I've learned that I could have been a lot better if I was a little smarter back when I was younger. I was self-coached, and I had an idiot for a coach.
That's a tough one. That's a good question, Lance. You got me thinking. What has the podcast taught me about my own running? Well, okay, I got one. Ben Blankenship somehow knew that I have a running streak. And he was like, I could never do that. So to have someone who's been an Olympian say that he couldn't do something, which he obviously could, that I did, was really neat. So I didn't know. Ben Blankenship knows I have a running streak. That's pretty neat.
How long was it?
How long? It's current as of today. So I have not missed a day since the last day I missed was December 31st, 2004.
Get out of here. Boy.
It's all I got, Lance. I'm too old to do anything spectacular, so I just run every day. So at least until I break or I get my.
Are we having some kind of what is it? Well, that'll be your 16th year anniversary on December 31st this year. Is there some kind of Just Athletics celebration for you?
Well, this is year 16, so I mean it's kind of 15 was neat. 20 will be cool.
Your streak can get its driver's license.
Oh, that's true. That's right. That's right.
That's crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, I run every day you've been alive, Lance.
Pretty impressive.
It's just one day at a time.
By the way, he has to go 4 miles. None of this 1 mile a day kind of stuff that other people have done.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So we're gonna do something a little fun. Have not tried. We'll see how it goes. But we're gonna do like a speed round sort of thing. So 2-word answers only, unless like you're listing a name or something like that.
2-word answers.
2 words.
Albert Caruana could never make it, could he? Could he, Dave? Unless he was texting. He could text 2 words, but he couldn't say them.
Hey, that's my agent.
I know. He's our guy. He's a friend of the show. He's been on our show. I'm sure
He'll probably be the answer to my speed round, by the way.
That's how we got on the show, Dave. We've had Lance's hat on and his. You said your agent? Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's my agent. He's the best agent in the world. If you ever need one, I got you. He'll hook you up.
That's who I'd call. If I needed anything, I'd call Albert.
We might need one.
We might.
All right. So the first question is, who is your favorite interview?
I can tell you mine. Well, man, the last. I mean, Courtney and Shelby were really fun, but I think the one.
2 words. 2 words.
Kevin Webb. Alan Webb. Sorry, I forgot.
David Laney.
Got the rules.
David Laney.
Okay. One more.
See, I want to see so much more, though. I want to tell you why.
You can't.
I know. Speed round. Quick hitter.
What is the one you have learned the most from, just in general?
Chris will say Daniel Caulfield.
What? I didn't catch that.
Oh,
sorry.
Chris says Daniel Caulfield.
Dan Caulfield, yeah.
Okay.
Boy. That's tough. I like I said earlier, I don't know. That's 3 words. No say.
I'm winning. I'm winning the speed round.
Sorry, that wasn't a very good answer. I just
I've never heard I don't know. Can you let me know about them?
yeah, they're very good coach in Des Moines, Iowa.
What
Plays
is
third base for the Cubs.
what
Who's
is
on first?
what is the favorite? I can't speak. What is your favorite place you've ever been? If you need more than
Cut out there for a sec, Lance.
what'd you say?
Favorite place?
Yeah, favorite place you've ever been. And if you need to, you can say more than 2 words for this one if it's the longer name or something like that. But favorite place.
I'll go Steens Mountain, southeastern Oregon.
Pisgah National Forest.
Where's that at? I've heard of Steens Mountain, but where's that at?
Pisgah is what 1 year I did a camp in Asheville, North Carolina, and we ran in this place called the Pisgah National Forest. Beautiful, amazing running there.
Hey, Lance, I'm gonna give you some advice, okay? You didn't ask for it, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. You start saving your money, okay? And when you get to high school, you got to go to Steens Mountain Running Camp, okay? It's the best running camp in the country, and it'll change your life, I promise.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, use better, I think.
What is it?
Yeah,
Which one?
Small.
Okay, well, you come to Steens. I'll take care of you. You can bring your dad too.
Chris, I'm willing to bet that we could put a GoFundMe
Sure.
together to get Lance out to Steens.
Yeah, I think so too. You're gonna get Lance in trouble in a school class for your T-shirt.
Sorry.
You have to edit that out, Lance.
I can't.
Have Albert edit it.
I teach at a Catholic school. It's a beast of burden. It's a beast of burden.
All right. What is your favorite TV show?
Seinfeld.
I would agree, Seinfeld. I hate to agree, but that's, it's the oh, this is speed round, sorry.
Oh, 2 words. Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, who is your favorite runner?
Amy Flora.
Jeff Atkinson.
A little biased there, Coach Johnson.
Oh, you want to pick somebody you know who that is though. That's pretty good. She's good. Bernard Lagat. I love him. Not only is he a phenomenal runner, just an awesome human being. Really, really cool.
Coach,
For me, Jeff Atkinson, because he was a college teammate, roommate, and there's a whole backstory to all that. But a guy that I love to watch run, I thought was phenomenal, Steve Ovett. It was, back in the day, it was Ovett versus Coe, and I was an Ovett guy all the way.
I like Steve Cram.
we're biased over here, aren't we?
Who's yours? Who's
My
your favorite runner?
Oh, easily Steve Prefontaine. Easily. I had to do a project on him in 4th grade. That was awesome.
You come visit me. I'll take you to his high school. I'll get you a behind the scenes tour.
That'd be cool. Who is your favorite basketball team? Coach Johnson, Blazers. Get out of here. 2nd round. Go away. Go away.
Better than the Bulls.
Oh,
Blazers.
I'm not a Bulls fan. Miami Finals, baby.
Their coach is an Oregon kid. He went to Jesuit High School, played at the University of Portland.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Dad was a
Great.
producer. His dad was a producer for the Trailblazers, all the TV programs when they used to be on when they'd be on regular TV, like when the Cubs were on WGN.
Nice. Coach Frank?
What was the basketball team? Blazers. I've been a Blazer fan my whole life. Look, Lance, I grew up in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. What are you gonna do?
When you're people our age, they just took their hometown team and that was their favorite no matter what, because that's all we could see. Nobody else was on
Yeah.
TV, what they look like.
Blazers didn't come along until I was in 73, 74, something like that. When did they start?
71.
71. So I was already 10 years old, but anyway, Blazers for sure.
All right. Who's your favorite football teams?
Dallas Cowboys.
Boo.
And San Francisco 49ers and the
Ugh.
Cowboys and the Niners back in the 70s were mortal enemies.
Yeah, the catch, that was 1982. I cried. I was 11 or 12 years old, and when Dwight Clark caught that pass in the back of the end zone, I wept. It ruined my childhood. I hate the 49ers. Hate them.
I did not cry. I jumped up and down and I did a little dance and it
Down
was phenomenal. The catch.
the catch.
Yeah. Amazing.
Coach Johnson, how do you feel about Terrell Owens?
I mean, I wish Terrell Owens would have been quiet more, but he was a really good football player. I think he wished if he could go back, I think he might make some decisions in his life that were different. I don't know if he's the greatest human being of all time, but he was a pretty darn good football player and he worked really hard. But yeah, he needed to. I'm not a big fan of. I like to talk and I talk way too much, but in terms of athletics, I think the people who let their performances do the talking are way better off than the ones who don't.
Coach Frank, how do you feel about the Chiefs?
I don't hate the Chiefs. There are certain teams in the world that I do hate. For example, the hated Dodgers, I hate. In fact, I can't say their name without saying hated.
Wait, hold on. I'll show you something.
Right? The hated Dodgers. I hate the Seahawks.
Look at this picture,
And
Dave.
I hate the Seattle Mariners. And what is that? That's the Cubs.
This is the Cubs beating the Dodgers in the NLCS in 2016. Shout out to my
I
boy
was-
Ross Detman for getting that to me.
My two favorite teams, Lance, are the Giants in baseball and whoever's playing the Dodgers, the hated Dodgers that day. Those are my two favorite teams. So I don't hate the Chiefs. The Chiefs have not been very good for so long. It's hard to hate them. There's nothing like Pat Mahomes is awesome. How could I hate Pat Mahomes? He's amazing, right? I was sad that the Niners lost last year in the Super Bowl, but I don't hate the Chiefs at all. It's funny, Lance, as I've gotten older and older and older, I really appreciate excellence in athletics. And so, for example, people hate Duke basketball. And I look at Mike Krzyzewski and, oh my gosh, that guy, how amazing is that guy, right? And people hate the Patriots. And yeah, they're having a bad year, but Belichick and Brady together for all those years was phenomenal. And people, well, they cheated here. What was it called? Inflategate or whatever, right? Like, okay, whatever it was. I mean, for how many years were they dominant in the league? They didn't win the Super Bowl every year, but they were pretty amazing. And I just, I have a hard time hating them. I appreciate how amazing they were. And I find that to be the case in lots of things in athletics now, that I really appreciate people that are good at what they do. And so, no, I don't hate the Chiefs at all. Now, it was the Seahawks. I do hate them. So, I love Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. They're both awesome. And I love Clayton Kershaw. He's amazing, but I hate the Dodgers. So.
For this year, I've been really lucky with sports. We had Miami go to the finals, and Pittsburgh's 10-0.
Oh, you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Have
They
been
ruined my childhood more than the 49ers did.
Where did Roethlisberger go to college?
Oh, Pittsburgh. No, it wasn't Pittsburgh.
I know.
Miami.
Ah!
Miami, Ohio. That's correct. Nice
Oh.
job.
If you were to have one superpower, what would it be?
Could we turn it off and on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think I'd want to be able to be invisible
Yeah.
I say that, and then
and mess with people.
I thought, why? I couldn't quite figure that out.
I'd push down the kids.
I wouldn't mind being able to fly. I don't know if that's my best answer, but flying would be pretty cool.
You get cold though. We have to dress. You have to put on a lot of clothes because you get cold, right? You get cold if you're flying, or hot.
Well, The thing is, Chris, I ride, I ride a bike, and you got a whole bunch of layers, and you got all this really amazing stuff, and so you can easily pack it into your little pocket in the back, right? So you dress to be warm in the beginning, and I'm sure superheroes have those pockets.
Lance, if I could be invisible, I'd just sneak on the plane. I wouldn't have to fly, right?
Where would you put all your clothes and stuff like that?
Just carry 'em. Just a backpack. I'd sit by the pretty girl too.
I don't know how your wife's gonna feel about this one, Coach.
I wish I wouldn't have said it. As soon as I said it, I was.
Good answer, Lance. Nice call.
Albert, you got to edit that out, buddy. Come on.
Oh,
Nice call,
that's
Lance.
going in.
Good
I'm
call,
in
Lance.
trouble. I'm in trouble, Lance.
But
I said her name before, so that was good, right? And then dang. It's being
Yeah,
full.
she's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I'll
she's
vouch for her.
but anyway, who's next? Interview.
What was the question?
Who we interviewing next? Who we going?
Oh, we have a list of maybe 30 people that we are considering reaching out to. We've got a few. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you decide and all this, and who do you hear from? And I mentioned,
Yeah, Lance asked you that today.
well, no, but another friend of mine too. Not as important as Lance, but most of the people that we hear from are friends of ours, right? But we got a really great message, an email about a month ago from a gal named Joan Nesbitt. And Joan Nesbitt ran at Duke, and she was Olympian. I think she made the team in '96 in the 10K, and she coached at Duke or Chapel Hill. She went to North Carolina.
I can't
I think
remember.
she went to North Carolina. I apologize.
Yeah.
I think she went to North Carolina, not Duke. But she just said some nice things about what we were doing, and then she asked us if we would interview a certain person. And so we are.
Throw it out there. Maybe
We
he'll
are-
listen.
He's a Chicago guy, Bensonville. Your dad will know who that is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Bensonville.
He's too young.
No, he knows who it is.
Oh, does? Oh.
Anyway, so we're going to ask him. We don't know him. Neither of us knows him. We have no connection whatsoever. But we're going to ask the guy, right? I mean, he made the Olympic team a number of times. He was great, and he coached for a while. And we both think he'd be a fun guy to have. So we have a long list. I've got a guy named Jeff Johnson, who's he was a number 2 guy at Nike behind Phil Knight, and I've been friends with Jeff for a long time. So we're hoping to get him on. We got a whole bunch of people out there, but nobody we have committed yet.
Who do you think we should have, Lance?
Angela Bazzari.
All right.
Illinois national champion, right?
Yeah,
You know
2010.
her? You know her? Give us a shout out.
All right, I'll have to talk.
What's she doing these days? What's she doing now?
I don't know her.
Well, that's no good. Cold caller. Get her digits, Lance. Play your game, buddy.
But to be honest, Angela Bazzari would actually be a good one. But one that you should really think about doing is have you guys done Shalane Flanagan?
Oh, she'd be amazing.
Yeah, she would be.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, I'm writing that down.
You're right. One of the things that's been cool is that both Shelby and Courtney, who run for Bowerman now, talked about Shalane to a certain extent in terms of how, her, team first attitude and her example has really helped make that group what they are now. So her own experience and accomplishments are one thing, but what she's done with Bowerman in the short time that she's been a coach there, I think is pretty amazing too. So that's a great one, Lance. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. We need to move on that one, Dave. Good job, Lance.
Yeah.
So what can I, as I interview people, as I've done a lot of people, what can I learn from listening to you guys? Or not just listening to you guys, but what can I learn from you?
Well, I can't speak for Chris. I don't know, when he and Josh started this thing, I don't know what their goal was or plan was exactly at the time. But I can say that I know for he and I that a big part of this is we're trying to have fun. And, we want it to be interesting to people, but if to make it interesting, it means that he and I don't get to joke around and play a little bit while we're on air. I don't think it would be worth it for me unless you're making $1 million a year, which we're not, and we're not going to. So I think keeping it fun is the biggest thing for me. I look forward to the times when we're going to talk, and I hope that our guests enjoy themselves as well. But it's got to be fun, and we got to be able to ask whatever we want. If stuff comes up in the middle of a show and we want to ask about it, even if we didn't tell them ahead of time, I hope that we can do that and that we have, that we've sort of figured that out. So making it fun, and you do that already so far. So I hope you just keep doing that.
I would say Dave mentioned it. Got to prepare, and don't be afraid to take a risk and and ask people if you don't know them is important. And I think you have to just keep trying to do something different, and don't be afraid to. We had a question that we used to ask at the end of every show, and it got to the point where it wasn't interesting anymore. And so we kind of liked that it was tradition, but we realized we needed to do something different, and we took a risk and we changed our end of the show question, and it's been really, really fruitful. So I think you got to stay innovative. It's something I learned from Josh Rowe when he was working at Nike. They were always, when he was running Nike Border Clash and NXN, always like trying to dial this. Let's dial it up. Like, let's get big. Let's do something different. So obviously our show is fairly consistent in terms of how it goes. We kind of talk to people about their lives. But I just keep trying to be innovative. And Dave said, if you're having fun and you're interested in what they're saying, then other people will be interested in what people are saying on your show as well.
All right, well, Coach Frank, if I get striked or demonetized because of your shirt, just know all your interview videos will get taken down. Or your name. Or
I think that if something happens, Lance, Albert Caruana can pay the fines. He teaches at school in Hillsborough, California, which is like the wealthiest town in California. So pretty sure your agent can handle this. All right, so. If it comes up, Albert. By the way, Lance, the background in my in my shot here, Crystal Springs cross country course, is not far from Albert's school, and it's the greatest cross country course in the world, by the way, just in case you were wondering. So.
Any reason why?
Because it's awesome. It's not ridiculous. It doesn't have any like super steep uphill or crazy downhill with a hard left turn at the bottom, but it's just never easy. It's, even the fairly flat parts are like slightly on a side hill. So you hardly have any spots that are just easy. And it's super challenging mentally, I taught and coached down there. We used to train there when I was at running in college. And it was just this amazing place to run. And I loved, when I coached down there, I loved going there. And then when I moved to back to Oregon, I've taken my team down there 4 or 5 times to race because I just think it's the most amazing course there is. So I can't say it's better than Detwater because I've never been to Detwater. We were going to come this year. We actually had a plan to go to Detwater this year, but you might have heard of this thing, COVID, that got in the way of us traveling. So, yeah. I know, crazy.
So what meet would that be?
Eric Detman, who coaches at Lincoln and went to York, he had a meet planned. It was late September, maybe the 3rd week in September. It was named after some guy like Riley Walker or something.
What was it?
Richard Spring.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Spring, Riley Walker, whatever, right? Named after some guy. So we were actually going to go. So one of these years we're coming out there.
I have never actually ran that at all. I mean, that's Stay Meet, obviously. You guys haven't been there. Why am I talking about it? But anyway, so you have a big start line, and then you'll go, what is it, like maybe 400 meters? So you'll have one spot here, and then one spot here, and you'll just run back and forth, and everyone. My grandpa, he always sits like down there, well, down a little ways towards the mile, which is on the first stretch, is the home stretch. You might have seen it in some of Methner's race. Well, Methner's.
I've seen a lot of videos from there. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I like taking my team to famous courses. I think there's a great history and and tradition in cross country, and I like I'd love to have my kids run where Craig Virgin ran, right? I think that or Chris Derrick or whoever. I think that's a cool thing.
Jim
well,
Spivey.
you need
Jim
Chris.
Spivey might have run one.
If you want to go where Chris Derrick ran, I think I can help you with that.
Awesome. We're gonna get him on one of these days too.
I can help.
Awesome. He's a smart guy. Went to Stanford,
But anyway, thank you guys for both being on here. It's been super fun.
Thank you for having us. That was great.
Thanks, Lance. I feel like your viewership's going to go way down after this after this episode, but maybe you can replay the Christensen episode right afterwards. Get some people back involved again.
All right, but again, thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Lance. Take care, man.